traveler. We are the Watchers, custodians of the vast tapestry of existence woven throughout this draconian universe. Having ascended to the zenith of enlightenment, boredom has become our constant companion. Thus, we turn our attention to the lives of other, less elevated beings, seeking to live vicariously through their tales. Among these beings, humans stand out as the most captivating and perilous. Humans, the enigmatic and destructive inhabitants of this realm, have piqued our interest the most. As the Watchers, we meticulously created a database of the most enthralling life stories we've encountered. It is our pleasure to share these narratives with you. However, we must caution you. The stories we have chosen to archive are not for the faint of heart. They are, in essence, quintessentially draconian. Our compendium grows exponentially, with thousands upon thousands of stories being added by the second. These narratives will leave you yearning for more tales from this draconian universe. Fear not, though. You know where to find us. Enjoy your sojourn, and we eagerly await your return. We only ask that you extend the invitation to others, that they too may partake in the extraordinary stories within this draconian universe. As always, safe travels, dear traveler.
All my life, I felt like I'd been running from the darkness within the deep murky waters of my mind. I'm not sure what's real anymore, and what's, well, fictional. Fictional actually isn't the right word to describe what I see. My doctors calls it hyperactive psychosis. It's a mental disorder which makes it really hard for me to discern reality from my own imagination. To put it bluntly, the doctors told me that I was crazy. Now, I hadn't been diagnosed till my 18th birthday. Oh, I remember that day vividly, like it was yesterday. I wish I didn't, but unfortunately, I've been cursed with a really good memory, a photographic memory. We'll revisit that story. The point I was trying to make was that I had this condition ever since I could remember. You see, the imaginary characters that I had seen always started off in my dreams, which are always nightmares. As a child, I would never want to go to bed because of how bad these nightmares was. My parents always had to give me a little melatonin-infused gummies to help me fall asleep. I can't blame them. They thought I couldn't fall asleep, but in reality, I didn't want to fall asleep. Eventually, even without the gummies, I would fall asleep, and every time I did, they were colluding, plotting, conspiring together for a means to make their escape through me. The dreams are always the same. I sleep, and within my dreams I wake up in my own bed. I hear a voice speaking to me, telling me to follow the light. I'm always in a state of confusion and fear, no matter how many times I've had this nightmare. It doesn't get any less scary. I quickly jump up and follow the glowing path, but Eventually, there is no more light to guide me. The voice says to me,
Find the light. You must find the light.
I never do find the light. However, they always find me. I often just sat on the floor within the darkness and cried as I heard the whispers and footsteps of the monsters closing in.
Boo! I found you.
They say as they sink their claws into me and violently wake me up within the real world. I wish I could say the nightmare stopped there, but as I mentioned, these creatures within my head were using me to get into my world. They didn't dare to hurt the one that acted as a door for their means to enter into our world. The things they had planned were really sinister, as these were terrible dark creatures from only God knows where. I've tried telling my parents about them on several occasions, but that just ended up in me being taken to the doctors. I didn't want to end up in the loony bin, so I decided to keep these happenings to myself. But every now and then I would catch a glimpse of the news and see some terrible happenings. And I could only assume that, no, I knew that they were the works of the ones that escaped my nightmares. Anyways, that's how it went for the longest of times. For years I would sleep, be caught by these creatures, wake up, and see them escape into the world. Usually they don't stick around me long. They leave and are up to whatever it is that they got planned. Though, there are sometimes a few that just stare at me like a juicy steak on a plate. A few have even lunged towards me but stopped themselves and repeatedly say, "You mustn't eat the doorway. You mustn't eat the doorway. You mustn't eat the doorway." Thus far, no harm has come to me, although there were a few close calls. I do my best to ignore them and continue about my day. However, as I mentioned, on my 18th birthday, something happened that would forever change the course of my life. It was July 3rd. I don't celebrate birthdays no more. Not since I turned 16. At least not in the traditional sense of getting a cake and having people close to me sing me happy birthday. It was just one of those things that I thought I had grown too old for. It'd be kind of like celebrating Halloween, getting dressed up, collecting candy from neighbors I didn't really know. At some point you realize how silly it all is and just decide to not do it anymore and ponder why you even did it in the first place. Anyways, I digress. On my 18th birthday, I decided to go to a retro video gaming spot. I would treat myself by having some pizza, hanging out with friends, and trying to beat a game called Super Metroid. I had been trying to beat that game for months, and I thought that day might have been the day that I did. However, it wasn't. One of the hundreds of dark creatures that I had let free all those years ago had other plans for me. I was 2 hours into playing Super Metroid, and I was doing well. So much so that others had gathered around to watch me play. The people around me, all around the same age as myself, were cheering me on. I was in my element. Nothing could stop me. I was gonna beat the game no matter what. That's when I heard a familiar voice say to me,
"Hello there, James."
I immediately froze, instantly dying within the Super Metroid game I was playing. However, I didn't care about the hours that had instantly gone to waste. My sole focus was on the voice. I recognized it straight away because it was one of the most terrifying and malevolent creatures that I had come across in my dreams. I named it Jokester because of its signature laugh. The crowd around me were complaining. However, Their voices were muffled, almost impossible to hear. All my attention was focused on Jokester.
Well, aren't you going to say hello to your old pal?
What do you want? I said, trying to muster up the non-existent ounce of strength I had to look like I wasn't scared. That wasn't working out well for me.
I never did thank you, James, for letting me out. For letting us all out.
I don't say anything. I don't know what to say.
What's the matter, James? Cat got your tongue? Don't you worry. I didn't come for you. As you know, you're protected. We mustn't consume the doorway. That is, until we find another doorway. Until then, you are perfectly safe from us to consume. Which is so very frustrating. You glow with so much power. So much more than all the humans within this room combined. Maybe one of these days, I'll get a chance to devour you too. But for now, these people will do. Thank you for gathering them all here, James.
The lights within the arcade go out, and all I hear is carnage as it rips into its victims. It's absolute mayhem. As screams erupt from the arcade, splatters of blood landing all over me as I am frozen in place, unable to lift a finger, let alone run and fare. Eventually the screams stop, the lights come back on, and I see the gruesome scene. I see heads ripped from bodies, arms and legs torn off. The smell of blood hit me as though I were being hit straight on by a locomotive. Still, I can't move. I can't make a sound. I can't even cry. Police arrived soon after. When they asked me what had happened, and I couldn't respond. It took me 1 whole month to be able to speak again. That was when my parents were finally given permission to visit. They looked at me, overtaken by a sadness I couldn't describe. A sadness so great that it took me out of my daze. I didn't do it. I didn't do it, I said repeatedly to them.
We know. We'll be home soon. We'll bring you home. Just hang in there, boy.
That never did happen. I was guilty of the brutal murder of 26 people. From what I could surmise, the evil spirit had done it for the sole purpose of making my actual life a living nightmare. To make matters even more frustrating, every night I would dream, and every night I would release more of them into the world. I was placed into a mental asylum. It was the best case scenario for me. My parents had spent a fortune on the best lawyers within the country and were narrowly able to help me avoid the death penalty. I was hopped up on drugs for most of my days here and forced to sleep. I've never spent so much time within the nightmares. It was terrifying, but there was a part of me that was livid and had vowed to get vengeance on all the evil spirits that had been using me for all these years. No longer did I sit and wait for the creatures to find me. I looked for the light over and over again, failing over and over again. Until one day, I heard a different voice. He called himself a watcher.
Dear travelers, thank you sincerely for immersing yourselves in the depths of the Draconian universe. Your support is truly invaluable to us, and we express our deepest gratitude. This particular episode, a creation woven with passion, was scripted, directed, and brought to life by Mohammed Jassi. As the expanse of this universe expands ever further, your ongoing support becomes an integral part of its evolution. Your continued engagement is not just welcomed, it is the lifeblood that propels our celestial journey forward. Stay connected, stay engaged, and anticipate the unfolding narratives that await. Stay tuned, dear travelers, for the saga continues to unfold. And as always, may your travels be safe, and your experiences in the Draconian universe be nothing short of extraordinary.